Chasing suspects, Windsor Grove.
Male detained, Windsor Grove. Can we have a dog van on the hurry up, please?
We've got young people who are more willing now to carry knives and think they're justified in doing so.
It's a broken knife. Why you got that in your car?
For the vast majority of young people, there isn't a relationship with the police. There's a lack of trust in the police.
You have got a knife on you, so let's not argue about it anymore, right?
Where I come from, it's normal to hear that someone's died, sadly enough, from a knife. So it's an epidemic.
I got a call from my mother, and my mum just said, Lewis is on the floor, he's not moving, he's dead.
In South London, these specialist anti-gang unit officers are responding to an incident involving a knife.
All I know is there's a male being chased with a knife. That's his car there.
A colleague has called for urgent assistance. The officer is struggling with two men who may be linked to the knife incident. Another suspect has run off.
Well, you're being detained for the purpose of search as well. Put your hands in front of you.
Hold on, no,
for weapons.
I know my rights.
Believing there's a possibility the two might have a weapon, the officers are taking no chances. But one of the men is determined not to be handcuffed.
What you get? Your choice. Your choice. Your choice. Stop. Gas deployed. Gas deployed.
Right, buddy.
Very big chance.
Right, one. Hold on, stand by.
CS, relax. You can spray the CS spray.
This is a pretty violent end to what should have been a routine stop and search.
You're breathing regular and you are under caution. Bro, that's just spitting off fish.
So 15 years
You're
of
not
age.
spitting. If you're going to start threatening to spit, that's not how it's going to happen.
The arresting officer is clear it's a situation that escalated because of the reaction of the man he stopped.
Straight away, he's been telling me to F off and whatnot, and then he started to push me. And as more youths have arrived, he's still not complied. I've threatened him with CS spray. He's still not complied, and that's unfortunately it's got to that stage where it's escalated just for the sake of a stop and search, just to find out about the knife.
After questioning, this man was ruled out as a suspect in the knife incident and released. Police say he'd never have been arrested in the first place, had he simply been willing to speak to them. Across the UK, violence, including knife crime, is on the rise. But it's the capital where the problem is most acute, with almost 4,500 knife-related incidents last year. Already this year, 30 people have been stabbed to death.
We have a lot of information that is indicating to us that it's almost become a trend. We're doing a lot of research at the moment in order to try and make sense of what the statistics and what the qualitative data and information is actually telling us in order to come back with a feasible plan that can have a long-term impact. It may be generational, it's not going to be a quick fix. We are primarily an enforcement agency, and enforcement is what we do, but by working cohesively with our communities, with education and health and other non-statutory and statutory organisations, that will be the way forward.
Officers in Notting Hill have stopped a man they say is a known gang member. He was stabbed last year, and police intelligence reports say he now regularly carries a weapon.
We're actively targeting what we call habitual knife carriers, and that will be using an Achilles heel approach, any kind of crime that they might have been involved in order to get them off the streets, in order to seize their weapons, and that is proving to be very effective under the banner of Operation Sceptre.
Police found nothing during this search, but just 2 days later, the man was stopped again. Officers say they found him carrying a loaded handgun. He's now in custody.
I'll punch him in your face now. Are you dumb?
As government, police and community leaders search for ways to combat knife crime, the human toll continues to grow. It's a year since 20-year-old Lewis Elwin was stabbed to death in South London, a murder which is still unsolved.
The day I heard about it, I got a call from my brother. I was literally in Notting Hill, and I was driving my van. It was towards the end of the afternoon, maybe about 4 o'clock, and I got a call from Byron saying, Lewis, Yeah, Lewis is dead. Yeah. And, you know, my whole body just went numb.
It's frightening knowing someone could commit such an offence, such an act of violence, but yet no one's been caught. No one. And this is just in one case. These cases are popping up everywhere nowadays.
In Kensington, officers are responding to reports a man has threatened a group of people with a knife in a nearby park. They've stopped this man, who's admitted being involved in an argument with the group. But officers told me he denies he threatened them with a knife. Police believe the weapon may have been dumped elsewhere, but searches failed to find anything. Across the capital, though, the latest drive against knife violence has taken hundreds of weapons off the streets.
Here at Scotland Yard, they've gathered together around 100 knives for us. These are just a small fraction of the weapons that have been seized in recent weeks. And they range, well, just from ordinary kitchen knives to some more decorative weapons. But police say there could be no excuse, no legitimate excuse for carrying any of these weapons on the streets.
It's the early hours of the morning in South London, and the Lambeth Gang unit have stopped to speak to this man who was sitting in his parked car on a quiet street. He's insisting he's done nothing wrong and that he's being targeted because of the colour of his skin.
Dave, this is racism, you know.
Okay.
That is awful. That's actually racism, you know.
All right. You've got a feeling you shouldn't have to.
I don't have nothing on me, like.
It's a broken knife. Why you got that in your car?
All right, I went to a picnic. Sorry about that.
You went to a picnic and you got it in your door?
The man is still insisting this stop and search is racially motivated.
Funnily enough, people have knives on them, and you have got a knife on you.
All right.
So let's not argue about it anymore, eh?
All right.
Scotland Yard commanders are more than aware of the sensitivities around stop and search, but they believe it is a valuable tactic. In some knife crime hotspots, it will be increased.
Stop and search is working well in London. It is on a reduction overall, but there are certain boroughs where it is used more effectively, and there needs to be more of it in order to deal with the issue that they're facing around knife crime in particular. But look, stop and search is not the only response.
Temi Moali runs a project in North London helping provide opportunities for young people. She believes stop and search is ultimately counterproductive.
It is an intergenerational issue. Stop and search didn't just pop up 5 years ago. This has been an issue for particular communities, especially the black community, for decades. And so we can't take it out of context. A police officer may say that they're not intentionally stopping young black people, but this is the context that we've got. This is the history that we've got. It cannot be detached from that.
Among this group of teenagers who've been stopped in South London are some as young as 14.
You've got a balaclava on your foot. It's not yours. Why have you got a balaclava in your bag?
Officers claim the boys are linked to a local gang and just 2 days earlier were suspected of committing a burglary armed with a knife. When police stopped the group then, they recovered this combat knife. In Brixton, this boxing gym is one place where youngsters and the police interact in a very positive way. Off-duty officers, among those acting as coaches, also offering advice and guidance.
The reason I actually came to this place is because of a knife crime. My head teacher from my school found it out, and then so the police took it off me, and then they did the interview, and then they told me instead of doing all of the trouble with knife crime, come to the gym and do boxing. So I thought, hey, I would give it a try, and then I came, and I enjoyed it, and I've been coming along ever since.
Isaac is one of the volunteers at the gym, a project set up in memory of his friend Dwayne Simpson, one of many victims of knife crime in this part of South London.
I know probably about 20 people that's been stabbed. For my estate alone, at least 7 of them's been taken away. I think it's fashion, to be fair. Majority of them, I'll say 8 out of 10 of them do it out of fear. They don't really need to walk around with a knife. When I was growing up, you won't even think of walking around with a knife because you won't really need it.
Lewis Elwyn's brothers are also now actively involved in helping steer youngsters away from knife crime.
They need role models, and not just movie stars and athletes. They need practical role models.
Whether you're black, white, orange, grey, there's positive people out there that can help share their story and experience with you so that you don't have to make those kind of decisions that can affect your future.
Ultimately, tackling knife crime will be as much a community effort as it is a policing one.
Chasing suspects, Windsor Grove.
But while people continue to fall victim to knife crime, the police make no apologies for going after those they suspect of carrying weapons.
Male detained, Windsor Grove. Can we have a dog van on the hurry up, please?
More than 300 knives have been taken off London's streets in recent weeks, many seized in stop-and-search operations. It remains a controversial tactic, but one police believe is vital in helping combat the shocking rise in knife attacks.
It is a fact that people who carry knives are more likely to have them used on them themselves.
No blade. It's a knife. It would normally have a Stanley blade in it.
Sort of towards, I think, Camberwell direction by the sounds of it.
I think it's time that people wake up to this and save adults from burying kids, whereas the norm is kids to bury the adults. But now it's just, everything says backwards.
You got 2-3, send you a start button. How far is the nearest